Hey, what's up, everybody? Jason from Straight Edge Knives, and we're back at the Tops booth to continue the prototype. So first we did all the mini kind of series, the smaller ones, and today we're going to go over the larger prototypes that Tops brought to Shotshow 2024. Greg, where do we go?
Larger, we'll start with just the longest, not necessarily a big heavy blade, but not small. This is the Stream Side Dicer. That's our second fillet knife. First fillet knife we released probably 2-3 years ago, and it's a great knife, but we wanted to do something a little bit bigger, especially with a bigger handle, and then thinner steel. So the other one is slightly thicker than this. This is 1/16. The other one is 3/32.
Oh, okay.
And so we went slightly thinner on the steel, same alloy. It's 154 cm for both. This one in particular, we debuted last year, but we made a big change on the handles. We went from like an orange and black G10, kind of almost like a hunting style fillet knife, to something that I see more as a kitchen type fillet knife. You got ivory and black G10 handles. It looks just really great with the black liner and an ivory G10 on top. We're probably going to work out some kind of tread pattern on this. But yeah, set up specifically for food prep. We've got barrels instead of hardware, all sorts of things to just kind of try to keep bacteria from collecting on the knife and the handles. Great blade. I'm really excited about this one. That'll be in my kitchen for sure.
Well, it's going to wind up in mine too, because I wanted the other fillet knife, but I was always a little concerned with that smaller handle, and so I know a couple of years ago you said you guys might even do this, and so I'm like, well, I'm waiting.
Yeah.
And it's here now. And
another thing that I think is pretty cool that I'm kind of excited about with this one is that handle's the exact same handle as the Camp Creek Fire Edition.
Oh, really?
Currently, anyway. I think we're going to keep it that way. So we should have, opportunity there for people to pick and choose from either the Camp Creek handle or this handle on either the Camp Creek blade or the fillet knife blade. So that's pretty cool to me.
Yeah,
I was like that when we made that kind of option available. So
yeah, because everybody likes trying to customize their stuff if they can. But this is, you are going to have some of those hunting guide type people that might want the matching set. Yeah, 100%. But that's really cool. Yes, well, none of your kitchen knife stands stop.
Yeah.
So that one's probably going to sell out too.
Yeah. All right. So next up, this one was designed by a guy named Bram Frank, who is he's been in the industry for a long time, and he's one of the guys out there that's been designing knives for military type use and whatnot. This is called the Avano. It's not a new knife. It's actually probably 15 or 20 years old at this point. This design. It was made years ago by Ontario. I believe Bram Frank kept all the rights to it, kept all the legal stuff that he needed for this to be able to do his design and take somewhere else. He has some custom versions out there. We were talking before we started here that he's got some folding versions out there as well, and so we're pretty excited about this one. It's very much a fighting style knife, self-defense, or more like an offense kind of blade. Lots of guard on the top and the bottom.
Yeah.
The one thing that I thought was really cool is there's this extra little peak from the handle to the guard where your finger would be, where your index finger would be. What he told us is that as you're stabbing, if your hand starts to slip, it'll slip kind of over that little hump and hit the guard. When that happens, instinctively, like as a reflex, you'll kind of re-grip, you'll kind of reclench. So, assuming that your finger was going to slide up and hit the blade, that extra little thing will kind of like force you to re-grip, and then it curves back in a little bit. So it's just an added feature. It's an added little bit of protection. It's going to be almost impossible to slide your hand over this guard and cut yourself. So, pretty cool little feature. To me, when I was first looking at this, I kept coming back to it like, that looks weird. I don't know if it was on purpose, and at first I was kind of like, we need to take that off. What's it doing there? So I reached out to the guy and I was like, hey, what is this for? And after he explained it, I was like, okay, so we're not taking that off. That'll still stay. But yeah, it was funny because I hadn't even considered that was a thing.
Yeah.
And he said that not only did they add that after like a series of testing, but that they actually did test it on dudes that did not know what it was there for. They just said, hey, stack some stuff with this, and they had some way of like measuring that they were actually, whenever they would slip, they would just kind of like instinctively clutch again.
Yeah.
So pretty cool. A little indexing hole in the back as well. Brake blade forward or reverse.
What do you mean by indexing hole?
So to be able to flip it, so if you got somebody that's holding it in reverse and they want to turn it around, this gives them a good way to
kind of
move it
flip.
around.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm not the tactical guy. I don't flip my knives around like crazy. I don't try to change positions. Like if I was gonna be needing to use a knife for self-defense, I'm gonna be in a really, really bad situation.
You're gonna be like me. We're just gonna be all.
I'm probably just gonna be stabbing wildly.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's what that's for. It's also just, it's another one of those things where it's just like it's a different feel. So if you're holding it normal, your pinky kind of feels where that is, and it's a good way of being able to tell where the knife is without having to look and be like, how am I holding this thing? Is it forward? Is it reverse? What's going on? It's the same thing with the pionero, the little cutout.
Yeah.
That just gives you an idea of which direction the blade is facing without you having to look.
Oh, okay.
So that's fun.
A little attitude adjuster on the back here.
Yep.
You guys even stippled that too so I guess if you're reverse grip and come over.
Well, you get your thumb on there and you get your finger on there.
So I guess.
So yeah, pretty cool blade. It's the swedge is sharpenable. We're gonna default that to single edge, but it is a double edge possible. So that'll be an option.
So obviously this is probably gonna come with Kydex. So everything's
Yeah, I believe we're gonna do Kydex on this one.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, cool blade.
It's got like that spear point kind of tip. That's pretty cool.
All right. Next up, this one has no name yet. We're just calling it Prototype X1. So this is kind of a cross between our first fillet knife and our lioness or Scandi Woodsman model. So the handle is very, very similar to that Scandi Woodsman, but the blade is a little more similar to our fillet knife, just shorter. So added some handle there. That is a complaint or a critique that we get quite a bit on the fillet knife is that the handle is quite small. So there's a bit more to this handle. Still pretty thin. I believe I can't remember if we did 1/8 inch or 3/32 on this one, but it's pretty thin blade, and it's going to be a great kitchen style knife. I believe we are going to do this one in stainless as well. So yeah, I'm digging this one as like a bird knife or like a small hunting knife. Just something to take anytime you're headed out into the woods for food prep or things like that. I see that being a great option.
Yeah, and I got XL hands, big, and I can get a full grip on this. I don't feel like it's going anywhere in my hand. It's locked in, and this jimping's aggressive enough where your thumb's gonna stay on there no matter what, too. Or even in the reverse grip, it's peak goes right in there, come right over the top, no problem.
Yeah.
This is about. I think Justin loves the Daisha 3. He's like,
yeah,
how is that size wise the Daisha 3? So I got the Daisha 3. They're literally the same length.
Oh, nice.
Like, if you put them next to each other, so if you've got Daisha 3, that's about how long this is.
Blade length is probably a little longer on this, but then a slightly shorter handle.
Yeah. So you want a little extra blade. This is cool. Like I said, it feels really good.
The handle is pretty cool too. The supplier, one of the suppliers we use for handle material, sent us a couple of samples. I don't know, 3-4 weeks before the show, and they were like, "Hey, we're finally putting together like a G10 carbon fiber overlay, And so they were like, do you want a piece? Do you want to try and test it out on something? And I was like, yeah, send it, absolutely. And when I got here, I was talking to Leo about it, and we had something else planned for that handle. He was like, no, stop that, run this for that handle instead. I want to see how it comes out.
It looks awesome.
Yeah, carbon fiber and G10 together look great.
It's kind of hard to, in the light, to see it, but when the light hits it just right, that carbon fiber pops. I mean, even with this like orangish, yellowish light, it still has like a glint to it.
Yeah, you get this really cool, like, the effect on that is just really cool. It's not like if it was just blue black, the black's flat. There's no like texture to it. So the carbon fiber, I think that it looks really cool.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And I think when we were at the supplier showcase, they had a bunch of different kind of. So yeah, so I expect we'll be seeing more of that.
I hope so. It'll, the carbon fiber can be quite expensive compared to like G10 and my product, but hopefully we can get some stuff going where it's a mix of carbon fiber and G10. It's not as expensive as like a straight carbon fiber handle would be. So we're hoping to be able to use it. I like it. I think it looks really good. So we'll see. It should be pretty cool. Next up, this guy. This is prototype G1. It is basically a karambit mixed with kukri. Small, definitely smaller than a normal karambit. So this is not going to be like your brush clearing, wood chopping type kukri.
Yeah.
I said karambit, didn't I? It's not going to be for things you would normally use a kukri for. But as an EDC knife, it's very cool. The recurve gives you a lot of cutting power on pulling type cuts. There's a good tip for stabbing on this, and then obviously if you're going to use it as a karambit, it does have that forward curve that like a hawk bill would have. It's not the aggressive, the same point, but that same forward curve gives you the kind of cutting power that a normal karambit would have. So yeah, pretty cool, interesting design. We're starting to see more karambits where there's more like a karambit handle and then a different blade. We did it with the cut probably before most, if anybody else.
Yeah.
So the cut 4.0 regular blade on a karambit handle makes a lot of sense. I'm starting to see tantos and all sorts of other regular blades on karambit handles. Don't know if I've seen any other kukris. I don't think I've seen any other kukri style blades on a karambit handle.
Can't say that I have.
And so, pretty cool design. I like this one quite a bit. I'm not necessarily the tactical guy, so the karambit use of this, I don't know that I'd see myself doing that. It'd be fun to just kind of play around, but as like a normal EDC kind of knife, I see this being pretty handy, pretty useful. Like one of the cool things about kukris is the blade is kind of forward, and so you don't have to really crank your wrist to cut stuff. You can just kind of keep your wrist nice and straight as you're cutting. And again, with the recurve, you get a lot of extra cutting power anytime you're kind of pulling against that blade.
Yeah.
So pretty cool element. I'm digging this one.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's different. It's not something like you said we've seen before. And if you're one of those guys that likes to karambit flip, we know it can be done. We saw Tactical Tavern do it last night.
Yeah.
And I'm sure follow him and you'll see. I'm sure he's going to have a video up real quick of him.
Yeah,
he went to town flipping and seeing that.
Yeah.
That was pretty awesome. But.
So this one's designed by Jason Swain. He's a dealer of ours, kind of somewhere in the Midwest, and he owns a cigar shop and sells knives and some other stuff too. So it's kind of like your like straight up man cave type store.
Yeah.
So yeah, pretty cool guy, and I dig the design. It's cool. So cool.
And then he put this thing here for camping, for like getting your pot off.
Grab the pot off the fire.
Yeah.
Those little like single person stoves. This would be perfect for that. Grabbing a little coffee pot or boiling some soup or whatever. Very cool. So, next up is Badger Creek, and what's funny is like the entire time that I've worked for Tops and even before, bowies have never been like, I've never really been drawn to them. I don't necessarily care for the clip point. It's not that I have anything against it. It's just not necessarily something that I'm like, I want that one. And but when I saw this one, I was like, I want that one. So it's kind of funny because it's just not normally my thing, but I dig this knife. It is it's got that like classic old school camp kitchen type look to it, where I could see this in anybody's camper, like go bag, truck, out in the woods. This would be the knife, just kind of like sitting on the table, ready to make breakfast or dinner or whatever. So I don't know. I really dig it. This one's gonna be stainless as well. We wanted to do something with a very high stain resistance, so that it'll be great for saltwater environments. You know, like coastal areas where people can use it and not necessarily have to maintain it every single time they use it without it rusting. N690 is great at rust resistance, more so than most other stainless steels. But it'll still keep a good edge. It's not gonna keep an edge forever like an S35 or some of these newer steels out there. But it is gonna stay sharp for a while, and it's gonna be low maintenance even in a crazy, just a crazy humid, salty environment. It'll still do well without a lot of maintenance. So that's the idea there. It's got a very high grind. It's going to be great for food prep. It'll be very slicey. Awesome two-tone micarta handle. We don't normally do the pins either on that, so to add that kind of flair to this is pretty cool for us. I really like this one.
Yeah, that's definitely, the pins are definitely different. I've never seen like lots of pins like that on, and you still have the solid hardware to keep together, laying your hole. But a lot of people, when I posted pictures of the table earlier this week, were like circling this one.
Yeah.
Like there was, people were messaging me, hey man, give me video of that Badger Creek, And you're right, I was drawn to it too right away. You were saying it's got that classic look. This kind of reminds me of something they would have used in the fur tracking days.
Yeah.
It's like if you had a wood handle on this, it would have looked like one of not Hudson Bay knives, but like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about, like
Absolutely.
that.
Yes.
It has this kind of classic Western, old, tiny,
like frontier guys.
Frontier,
guys that are moving out west and like just into unknown territory with like a couple of knives and some ammo maybe.
Yeah.
That's about it.
Yeah, something, Jim Bowie would have been good, or, David Crockett would have had this on him or something. I don't know, and I've always been drawn to those style of knives too. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why I love the Texas Creek so much, because if they had wood handles on it, it would be a less knife to me. I just find those blades to be really cool. But yeah, this is definitely gonna be a big seller for you guys too.
I like that one a lot. It's just a cool looking.
Yeah.
Plus that all day, every day, that's going to be a comfortable, usable knife.
It's not over. It's big, but it's not overly heavy. It's like you can carry this all day for sure.
Yeah, a good 5.5 to 6 inch blade, man. Seriously, like for camping, anything to do with around the campsite, food prep, getting your tinder ready for your fires, just any kind of thing around the campsite, that will do it all. I don't know. I'm really drawn to that one.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. Can't wait for that. Can't wait for quite a few of these.
So, yeah, me too. So, last but not least, this one is a little bit smaller, but we didn't cover it last time.
No, we didn't cover that one. That one, I think, deserved to be in the big boy category. Even though it's small, it's got a big attitude.
Yeah. So, this is the Medusa. It was designed by Tier 1 EDC, who does like EDC and peer reviews on Instagram. I believe that they, if I remember right, their knife company name is DC Knives.
Yeah,
and
DC,
they do
Old Squirrel, or something.
Old Squirrel. Yeah. And so these guys have been designing some pretty crazy tactical knives, concealable knives, things like that. They've got this one. They've got one out called the Scythe. I think they have it in fixed and folding versions. It's kind of a fruit knife, kind of a hawkbill blade. Cool looking knife, and they actually had sent Leo a drawing of it and a sample, and said, hey, I'm interested in working with you guys. And we were looking at it, and we were like, that's really cool. And with it, they sent this random drawing of this. They hadn't prototyped it. They hadn't made any. They just were like, it's just kind of an initial drawing. And we were like, we kept looking at the one, and like, that's cool. And then we kept like coming back over to this other paper, and we were like, more and more, we were both like, man, that's pretty freaking cool. And so in the end, we were like, do you mind if we make this other one? And they're like, do you want to make that one? And we're like, yeah, that thing's freaking cool. And they're like, yeah, actually, yeah. We thought you guys would be like, that's way too weird. And we're like, no, this is cool. So that's kind of how we ended up doing this instead of the other one. We may actually come back and have that one like at a later time, but I dig it. It's thin, so 1/8 inch, 1095, black powder coat, black G10. They wanted the black on black. We were thinking black on black, so we were on the same page there. It's I don't know. It's what's cool about it is you've got the sweeping curve. You got a nice fine point tip. You got a blade that's kind of a little bit forward of your fingers. All sorts of things that just make this more usable as a cutting implement for slashes, for stabbing, for all sorts of stuff. It's in the forward grip, you're locked in there like real tight. In the reverse grip, same. You got that the jimping on the pommel there. You got a couple of different like finger positions for your thumb for reverse stabs, things like that. I don't know. It's just, this is a cool knife. Very comfortable. It looks weird, but when you start locking that into your hand, it's like, dang, that fits really well.
Yeah, and I completely agree with you. When I first walked up to the table and I seen it, I was like, what is that? It did. I was like, okay, that's weird. But I picked it up and I was like, okay. And then like the more I kept picking it up and kind of handling it, the more I'm like, okay, I would buy this. I would carry this because this, if you had to use this in a bad situation, you were gonna be able to do probably some pretty wicked damage. And
like,
it's
seriously, even just like pull it and show it to them first. You're like, this is what you're up against.
Yeah.
And just see people be like, you know what, I'm good.
I mean, it's just it feels really good to handle because it feels, flip it around and locks in. I mean, the more I handled it, the more I'm like, I get it now. It's cool. It's one of those things where I think you need to pick it up and then you'll be like, okay.
Agreed. If you're looking at that like, man, that thing makes no sense, that it's not going to be comfortable, like just pick it up. Just hold on to it and you'll see what we're talking about. It's pretty crazy just how well it just locks right in when you just close your hand into a fist.
Yeah, it's just there. It's like, and it's with it in my fist. I still have a fully closed fist. None of my fingers are raised up, so it's
almost like just a force multiplier for throwing punches too.
Yeah.
Plus, then you got the blade on it. That's just it was well thought out. They hadn't, like I say, they hadn't prototyped a physical version of it at that time, but they had messed around with the handle configuration, kind of like how they thought it would fit in their hands. And so, one of the things we did is we played around with some of the angles on the handle itself and the blade itself to try like what felt better. And we did not change it very much from the original drawing. That handle is almost exactly what they had on their hand. Very, very close.
Yeah. And what's nice, I mean, I have bigger hands than a lot of people, and it fits my hand perfect. So like this will fit. This should fit 99% of the people.
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
Unless you're like a.
Unless you had just.
But even then, it would be like even then, if it was resting between your pinky and here, that still feels okay. Yeah. You still rock it, no problem. Yeah, this one's, and this could be even a good box for like you work in like you got cut open boxes or something. Because like I said, the way it sits, you got this little straight spot with this little peak, and that little, you could easily draw that through cardboard.
For pull cuts, it'll do very well.
Yeah, right through that little.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, I dig this one too. Again, get the chance to hold one of these. I think it'll change your mind. If you have doubts about it, I think it'll change your mind if you hold it.
Yeah, once you grab onto it, it makes so much sense in your hand. You're like, okay, yep, I get it.
when I get hold of one of these, I'm going to hang a whole zombie chicken up and
Nice.
we'll
Go to
see.
town.
Yeah,
Go to
we'll
town,
see.
see what
We'll
it does.
see. We can't prep a chicken, right?
There you go.
So, awesome, man. Well, guys, those are pretty much all the prototypes for this year,
I think
and
so.
yeah, and then some of the other stuff on the table was prototypes from last year. So go back and watch that video from last year if you want to see those.
Yeah, so we got plenty of new knives coming out this year. First, like I'm gonna try and get as many of the models from last year released in the first 4 to 6 months as possible. I should be able to get them all, so we can start releasing the stuff we debuted here by the second half of the year. That's our plan. We want to try to be totally caught up on new models and back orders and all of that this year. We're moving along.
The Spirit Hunter's currently out now. That was one from last year, and then
Spirit Hunter, the Shadow Hunter.
Shadow Hunter.
The Armado comes out in like we were gonna try to do it next week, but coming right back from Shotshow, I don't know that I'll get to it. It'll probably be the week after.
Okay, so
but the Armado's coming out right afterwards. Yeah.
That's tentative. That's not gospel. So
Oh, we've got the blades and handles, and I believe we started making sheets as well. So we should be pretty much ready to go on that one. So yeah, it's very close.
I wish I would have known that. I'd save my money. Damn it.
We have one. we have a few that we set aside for the show. So anybody that's here, we can place orders here at the show and then ship to people that are like dealers. So that is the thing we can do. They don't allow retail sales at Shotshow. It's a business thing. But we can take orders and we can send them. So we do have a few set aside for it.
Oh, okay. Well, you're here at SHOT Show and
Check
swing
out
on
the
by
Armado.
house.
Yeah, check out the Armado. You might be one of the first.
Come in and check out all of these blades. They're awesome. And any of the other 250 plus models,
Yeah, 250 plus.
yeah, you have just about all of them here. I mean, with the exception of a few, maybe.
Just a few that are out of stock.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, guys, Craig, thank you again
course,
so much.
man.
I appreciate
Always.
you taking the time again. I know it's the second interview with us, but greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
I know it was a lot to cover.
No,
with
it's
all
always
of it.
it's always a good time.
You guys really brought out a lot of prototypes this year, like more so than probably the last
More
2
than we
years.
planned to
Yeah.
bring out, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's how we do things. So
Yeah, it's all right.
it'll be good.
Cool. Thanks again, man. Appreciate it.
Of course.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Stay safe, stay sharp, and make sure you go check out topsnipers.com, Tops Daily Grind, Tops Custom Shop. That's such a good question. Are we going to see maybe a little bit more stuff coming out of the custom shop this year?
I hope so. We'd like to.
And the custom shop's like a side project, so when you guys have time, that's when you.
That and Leo's typically the one that's doing the knife and the handle and then the sheath. If it's leather, I'll do it, or we'll have, we'll reach out to some of the leather makers to do stuff for us. If it's Kydex, we'll probably have Angel doing it, or every now and then we'll reach out to custom Kydex makers as well. But it's usually Leo doing the blades and handles. I mean, the guy owns the company.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of stuff going on, so sometimes it's just hard for him to get out in the shop and make something.
Yeah.
Well, we do want to do more.
Well, when we do see it, it's awesome because all the custom stuff you guys have put out have been great. So.
I totally agree.
All right, buddy. Thanks again, everybody. Stay safe, stay sharp.